Being an artist is a lifelong commitment and something that may never be mastered in a single lifetime. I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of time. Hey, Walter here, and I have a ton to say about simplicity and complexity when it comes to art, but I promised you everything you need to know in 5 minutes or less, so I don't have time to talk about that now, but be sure to subscribe for when I do make that video. But for now, let's get started. Number 1, anatomy. First thing about anatomy is size relationships. If you look at a standing figure, the height of the figure is around 6 to 8 heads tall if you were to stack them on top of each other. Of course, you can adjust this to your style. You can also measure or compare other parts of the body with the head as well. For example, the hand is the same size as the head, as the forearm, as the upper arm. The torso is about 2 heads. The width of the shoulders is about 2 heads. Not only the head, but the torso, which equals the upper leg, which equals the lower leg. The foot equals the forearm. There's a ton of them. If you learn them, it makes it a lot easier to draw figures on the go without any reference. Also, in most cases, there's 1 head, 2 arms, 1 torso, and 2 legs, and there's some muscles strewn all over the place, but you can learn about that over time. Another trick is to use boxes to help identify sections of the body when you want to draw them in cool, unique, dynamic poses. Number 2, perspective. This is the horizon line. It is where the viewer or the camera's eye level is, and it's where objects recede into. There's a ton more about it, but basically all lines aim towards the horizon at points called the vanishing points, and you can have more than 1 vanishing point, which makes up 1, 2, or 3 point perspective, which are usually good enough unless you're trying to impress somebody with some kind of crazy curved linear fisheye lens crap. As objects recede to these vanishing points, they get smaller and you lose detail. And it's not only for buildings, you can use them for people or for cars. Another cool thing is any object that is on the same plane, like a floor, will all cross the horizon at the same point if they're the same height. Like this dude's chest, if you were to put him in different places, his chest would always be at the vanishing point in the same place. Really helpful for quickly eyeballing heights of different objects as it moves into the distance. Also, as things move further away, we lose detail, both in line detail, but also color. It's because of atmosphere obscuring the vision. This is known as atmospheric perspective, and it's a good way to add a lot of depth to an image when you're coloring it. Number 3, foreshortening. Foreshortening is drawing something so it appears to have more depth, like an object is moving into the canvas. And usually when we're talking about foreshortening, we're talking about drawing these crazy dynamic figures, these cool poses, you know, where people are pointing at the camera or whatever. And it's tied heavily to perspective. If you break down figures into boxes like we discussed earlier, it's gonna be a lot easier to pull off these cool foreshortened shots. Number 4, composition. Composition are basically how objects are placed on the canvas in an effort to direct the eye in a pleasing and effective way. An exaggerated example is putting our main focus down at the very bottom left corner of the image. Not many people are going to see this. It doesn't make that object very important, so this would be a bad composition for most cases. But what if we put it dead center and large? It is immediately noticeable. But it doesn't end there, because a dead center composition can be a little bit boring, which is where asymmetrical compositions come into play. Putting them slightly away from the middle can make an image more exciting because it suggests movement and weight. A simple but effective way to implement this is the rule of thirds, which is basically taking a canvas, dividing it into thirds both vertically and horizontally, and then aligning important details along these lines and intersections will tend to make a well-composed images in most cases. Number 5, rhythm. I think this is one of the most important things about art. Making lines move and relate to each other in a pleasing flow can make weak anatomy, perspective, foreshortening, composition not matter as much. Take, for example, a human arm. New artists have a tendency to draw them kind of like this. It lacks rhythm. The lines don't play against each other. A better way would be to draw it like this. Look how each line plays against the other. This one pushes in while this one curves out. This line is rigid against this smooth curve. It's kind of a yin-yang thing, and it just adds more variety, movement, energy, just everything that you want in your image can be helped by having a good rhythm. Finally, number 6, color. The most important thing to know about color is that grass isn't always green and the sky isn't always blue. It is affected by the world around us. So a sunrise can cast a golden glow and a night gives a bluish tint. A simple way to do this digitally is just to add a layer with a solid color, set it to multiply, and lower the opacity. Boom! That is everything you need to know about art in hopefully 5 minutes or less, or I will be a liar, or I will just have to speed up my footage. Of course, there is a ton of other things out there, and even the things I mentioned can be expounded upon to never-ending lengths. But the way I see it is you should just start drawing now, and you can deal with those things as you run into problems, as you have time to learn more stuff. But that shouldn't stop you from drawing right now and doing what you want to draw. Be sure to like, link, love, hug, and sub for more sweet, sweet goodness. Peace.